Welcome to A Teaspoon of Healing, where we explore the pathways to wellness and vibrant living. Listen to personal stories of healing and interviews with experts. Open a doorway to healing in your life. I'm your host, Dawn Damari. Hi, I'm Dawn Damari, and you're listening to another episode of A Teaspoon of Healing. Today, I have Dr. Stephen Hotze with me. Hello, Doctor.
Dawn, hello to you. I hope you're having a great day.
I am. I hope you are too.
We are.
So you are based in Houston, Texas?
That's right.
How's the weather out there?
Ma'am, it's we got a clear, beautiful blue sky with temperatures that will come near 100 degrees with about 95% humidity. So we're staying inside in the air conditioning. What put Houston on the map was air conditioning. It's hot and humid here.
So, Dr. Hotze, can you describe your practice and what you do? I know you're an MD and you practice natural medicine.
Right. Well, I grew up here in Houston, went to the University of Texas, and then came back to Houston, went to the University of Texas Medical School, did a year of surgery residency. Had a family, decided I needed to make a living, so I went into emergency medicine. I've been in practice for 45 years, so I graduated in 76, long before you were even a sparkle in your daddy's eye. Over dinner, banquet dinner my dad held for me the night I graduated, he turned to me and said, "Son," I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Don't poison your patients like all the other doctors do. Do you understand me?" I said, "Yes, sir." Well, it wasn't a request, it wasn't a suggestion, it was a command. And he planted that seed in my mind, which about 13 years later gave birth to the Hotze Health and Wellness Center, when I made a transition from conventional medicine, and I was more surgery oriented in my doing procedures. I like doing procedures, and there was a lot of that in the emergency room. And then when I had a practice, occupational practice and family medicine practice, did a lot of assisting in surgery. So I like to do that. And wasn't a big pusher of medication. But by the time 1989 rolled around, due to some illnesses that had occurred with my father, I made a transition to natural approaches to health because he asked me to. He said, "Son, I want you to take care of me. I'm tired of all these doctors. I want you to fix me." And he'd give me something to read. He said, "This doctor says I need to take vitamins. What do I need to take?" I said, "Dad, I'm a doctor. What do I know about vitamins?" And he said, "Would you find out?" And I said, "Yes, sir, I will." And that's what put me on a transition. So I entered into the field of allergy medicine, where I saw a lot of people that had recurrent and chronic infections due to their allergies, had been taking antibiotics, women had recurrent and chronic yeast problems, a lot of gastrointestinal problems we saw in the patients. And so I began to treat for airborne and food allergies, treat for yeast, started using vitamin and mineral supplementation. Subsequently was introduced to natural thyroid hormone replacement in 92, and then in 96 was introduced to natural bioidentical hormone replacement, both in women and in men. So that made my transition complete. So here at our center, we treat for airborne and food allergies. We treat for yeast. We treat for thyroid when indicated. We use natural bioidentical hormones in males and females when indicated. Use vitamin and mineral supplementation to help people energize their mitochondria and detoxify their cells. And we recommend a good exercise program. And that's pretty much the program. And when people get up on that program, we find that they're able to obtain and maintain health and wellness naturally. So as you mature, they feel energetic, they feel full of vitality, and they're enthusiastic about life. And that's the way it should be. If you're alive, you might as well feel alive. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Totally agree. And I think that's wonderful. And thank you for sharing your story. And looking at your bio, it looks like you specialize in a few things that our listeners are definitely interested in. And many of us are struggling. Okay, I know I'm going to speak from my personal experience with fatigue and lack of energy. It's been worse in the past couple months, but for me, and that's just a personal thing, but many of us are struggling with this, or caffeine addiction. So what are some ways we can get our energy back naturally?
Well, first thing you want to do is try to determine what is the underlying cause of fatigue and low energy level. And if you go to the hormones that will affect a person's energy level, the primary hormone, of course, is your thyroid hormones.
Right.
And they're produced by the thyroid gland of the neck, which is shaped like a butterfly right in front of the so-called Adam's apple. And that secretes two types of thyroid hormones, T4, which is a thyroid hormone that has 4 iodine molecules, and T3, which has a thyroid molecule with 3 iodine. T3 is the active thyroid hormone. Your body only produces your thyroid gland produces about 6% of that, about 94% of T4. It's secreted into the blood. Thyroid hormone doesn't do anything in the blood. It has to enter the cells. In the cells, your active thyroid hormone T3 and the T4 that is converted in the cells to T3, the active thyroid hormone, then catalyzes your power plants, your generators within your cells called mitochondria to produce energy, electrical energy, that then drives all the biochemical processes in your cells and in your organs so that you're alive. And what happens if you've got difficulty with energy level, maybe difficulty with weight, low body temperature, don't think clearly, maybe have mood swings. Females will have problems, maybe early on, they can have problems with fertility, or they can have problems with carrying pregnancies to full term with miscarriages. They can have problems with their menstrual cycles, which can be related to thyroid function at the cellular level. Also, low thyroid can cause joint muscle aches and pains, recurrent and chronic infections. In women, it will cause hair loss. They'll get puffiness, lose the lateral third of their eyebrows. The tongues become enlarged, both in males and females, and that's because the tongue, as it enlarges, bumps against the teeth, and you can see if your tongue's enlarged by simply sticking it out and let it hang, and see if you have scalping on your tongue. Well, that's a sign of low thyroid. Puffy, pasty skin. So hypothyroid individuals can be easily identified. Not everybody, though, has the difficulty with weight. Paradoxically, some people thyroid just fail to thrive.
Yeah, I was wondering that because I had
difficulty with weight.
Oh, I see. So they can still, even if you have low thyroid, you can still have trouble keeping weight on.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So it's definitely, like you said, it's about the root cause. So for people who have had their thyroids checked, so if you go to an endocrinologist, is that the best route to go? And if they say your thyroid is okay, could there still be a problem with the thyroid?
Oh, sure.
Okay. So I'm wondering. So I was wondering if there were other causes. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of causes of fatigue, but as someone who has gone to an endocrinologist, they said, "Oh, your thyroid's fine."
Your thyroid. So this is what there's. Invariably, you'll read down the list of hypothyroidism and say, "I guess that's what I must have." You tell the doctor, "What makes you think you have that?" Because I have all the symptoms. Well, we'll do a blood test. Well, they don't even test thyroid level. They test your thyroid stimulating hormone.
Yes, the TSH,
the pituitary gland. And if you have thyroid in your blood, it's going to come back normal. They take the average of the last 1,000 tests. I mean, it's whatever tests they got the day before, they average them, and then they put it on a bell-shaped curve. You have two standard deviations on each side, and that takes in 95% of the population. So the range of thyroid encompasses 95% of the people that take the test. And I've noticed over the last 20 years or 30 years that the thyroid levels keep sliding lower and lower because who's getting tested? People that are older and have low thyroid. And so the average is lower and the tests are lower. So I see people now who would have been considered low thyroid 20 or 30 years ago by blood tests now falling with the normal range. If you're simply treating a blood test, you're not treating the patient. I believe that anybody who has the signs and symptoms of low thyroid deserves a therapeutic trial of natural thyroid hormone, desiccated thyroid, which would be it's not synthetic thyroid, it's desiccated. It comes from pork gland, and it contains the same identical hormones our body makes. And so by adding a little thyroid to your system taking it orally, it can make a dramatic difference in the way people function and feel because they get their energy level up. Now, in women, because women's female hormones, as they begin to decline and become imbalanced between estrogen and progesterone, get in a state called estrogen dominance. The dominating hormone is estrogen, and their menstrual cycles and then their periods will begin to change. So they may have had 3 to 5 day periods that were mild. Excuse me. And then next thing, they have 5 to 7 days, which are moderate. And then next thing you know, as you get older, 7 to 9 days, it can be heavy. Then you get breakthrough bleeding. You end up going to see your OB-GYN doctor, and he goes, we can solve that problem pretty quick. Let's just do a hysterectomy, which will, of course, will stop the bleeding. But the uterus didn't cause the problem. The uterus function is directed by the hormones produced by the ovaries. And if you have an imbalance in hormone production, which inevitably occurs in women as they mature because they're going to go through the change, they'll have these problems. And oftentimes, most times, if caught early enough, this can be corrected using natural bioidentical progesterone on day 15 through 28. So we can start. I mean, we even see it in young kids that are young girls that are teenagers come and say, "Oh, they're driving us crazy." Which, a few days before a period, she's just out of control. So we can put them on just a touch of progesterone to help balance that out. As women get older, you need to give a little bit more. So depending upon the size, age, and symptoms that a woman has, a little bit of natural progesterone can go a long way to solving a host of health symptoms that are routinely treated by your conventional doctor with sleep medication or anti-anxiety medication or antidepressants, all of which have psychotropic effect and all of which are addictive and all of which are expensive. Natural progesterone and natural thyroid are not, and they're safe, they're natural, they're the same molecules your body made or are currently making, but not in adequate amounts. And just replenishing and balancing out your hormones with natural bioidentical, that means they're the same identical molecule that your body made, can be a godsend.
Wonderful. So you suggest that somebody who's having these symptoms, whether male or female, especially female, they should consider their hormones and should see a physician that specializes in natural medicine.
Right. Natural approaches to health. They call them functional doctors, holistic doctors, integrative medical doctors. It all comes down to doctors that use and approach health problems, trying to determine the cause of the underlying problem and use natural treatments to help solve that underlying cause and problem.
Wonderful. So treating
as a matter of fact, Dawn, for your listeners, I like you and I like your interest in natural approaches to health. I read about you'd had some health problems in family members and decided that you were going to get yourself on a more natural approach to health. So I commend that. And your listeners who listen to you are exposed to your thinking and to your encouragement. I'd like to offer this to any one of your listeners who's interested. I've written 4 books, but my number 1 book would be the first book, and it's called Hormones, Health, and Happiness. We have over 120,000 in circulation now, and it discusses these various problems very simply that you'll be able to understand. And if they want to call our office, I can give you that number, and you can have them call, and we'll be glad to send them a copy of that book free of charge with no shipping, because I want to help people get on a path of health and wellness naturally. That's why I do these all over the country.
Wonderful. Yes, that would be great. So,
and that number, by the way, is 281-698-8698. If you'll post that, 281-698-8698, or they can go to Hotze Health and Wellness Center, Hotze Health and Wellness Center, and just go take a look at, what can be done to address your health problems. If they want to address that from a natural point of view, we give solutions for that. But my book is really is a good primer on natural approaches to health.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I will definitely post it in the show notes, so if people can contact you and get that free information. And thanks for offering that. That's wonderful. Now,
It's my privilege.
can diet also affect this? I know you had mentioned in your bio that you've experienced with the yeast-free, I guess the candida diet, and grain-free
Right.
diet. I was on a grain-free diet for quite a while before the quarantine, looking to get back on this. I found it helped me with my energy levels and with other things in my health.
Very, very important.
For people who are wondering what candida is and if that's also can contribute to some of these underlying conditions.
It causes candida or yeast problems can cause a host of problems. The foundation of all good health is good, healthy eating. Mm-hmm. And so what we recommend is a dramatic decrease in the amount of simple carbohydrates and starches. Those all are sugar molecules hooked together, and they convert to sugar once they enter your body and you start digesting them, which raises insulin level and drives sugar into a part of the body called adipose tissue. It creates fat.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's what sugar does. It gives you sugar highs and sugar lows, and you never see satisfied. And it causes, and this is from the grain products, pizza, pasta, cakes, donuts and all that. It's also from corn products, potatoes, and rice products. All these are starches.
Yes.
So and guess what? Yeast in the system grows on sugar. So we want to eliminate as much as we can or dramatically decrease the amount of simple carbs we take. We want to focus on eating good, healthy oils and fats, eggs. You can have butter, avocados, coconut oil, fish oil, olive oil, nuts, hard cheeses. All these contain good fats that your body needs. They burn slow and they satisfy, so you don't get sugar highs or sugar lows. Also, good salads. Fresh green salad. I eat every day: spinach, chopped broccoli, chopped nuts, and olive oil and balsamic. I have that every day. I have a green drink in the morning with all my vitamins that I put in water and ice and spinach leaves. Grind it up with my vitamins, drink that in the morning. So my day consists of bulletproof coffee in the morning. That's coffee with either a tablespoon of butter or a tablespoon of coconut oil or whole cream in it. Have a couple of those. Have my vitamins with the spinach mix when I get to work. And then I don't eat anything until dinner. And I'm not hungry because I don't have sugar highs and sugar lows. And then I have the good salad, fresh vegetables that are lightly steamed, put butter on them and have a little piece of fish or meat or chicken. And that's it. And that way if you eat like that, you'll get down to an ideal body weight and you'll feel good. And you won't have sugar highs and sugar lows. And sugar creates inflammation in your body, which is bad for you, of course. And you want to eliminate inflammation in your body. One way you can do that is cut the sugar and those products that convert to sugar out of your eating program. Doesn't mean you never have them. Of course, you may have a piece of bread or a roll occasionally, maybe you have a dessert occasionally, but it's not the warp and woof of you're not living to eat, you're eating to live now. And you've got to just change your mindset. Decide, absolutely, why am I eating? Just for enjoyment, or am I eating because I want to be healthy? Well, eat to be healthy. If you live healthy, you're going to have a much more enjoyable life. I think it can be fairly simple. Write it down as a goal, write down your plan, and then take action immediately to do it. That creates energy, and you'll be on your way. If you're just thinking about it and wishful thinking, it's never a goal. A goal is only a goal if it's written out. And you write out your plan. You've got to write out your goal. You've got to write out what are the benefits of achieving that goal. What are the obstacles? Who do you need to know? What do you need to know? And then write out your plan and then take action to do it immediately. You'll be well on your way to accomplishing that goal, whatever it may be. In this case, it's eating healthy. Write it out and then get started. Nobody can take charge of your health but you. The other thing that's really important is to keep your immune system healthy. From the moment we're born, we're exposed to trillions of germs. Come through the birth canal, you're slathered with all the germs from your mother's vagina, and that's normal. That's what the good, healthy bacteria put, and we end up swallowing them. They become part of our gut flora. All of us contain literally trillions of bacteria and viruses that live within our body, live in our sinuses, live in our colon. But our immune system, God gave us an immune system to help tame all these bad bacteria so they don't harm us. And we're exposed to every day. You walk around anywhere. You walk in your room, carpet, everything, your bed, covered with billions and trillions of bacteria and viruses everywhere. And our immune system, when it's healthy, just fights those things off. Look, I'm 70. I've done all kinds of medicine all my life. Last time I had a fever was 1998. I've seen people with bacterial and viral meningitis, bacterial and viral pneumonia, bacterial and viral dysentery, flus, staph infections, boils, strep infections, pseudomonas, you name it. I've seen it in the emergency room and in my practice. 40% of the population are affected by allergies. 20% have problems with recurrent sinus infections, bronchitis, and asthma, and a host of other problems. And you can't quarantine yourself from pollens. You cannot do it.
I know. My son has a lead pollen allergy, and this is when it starts. Yeah, right around now.
They cause a host of health problems. You know?
Oh, yeah.
And then what happens back to yeast? You end up taking antibiotics. You kill the bad bacteria, but you also knock out the good bacteria. Mm-hmm. Your colon, yeast overgrows. You go, and so next thing you know, and women know this better than men, because they will commonly get yeast vaginitis from taking the antibiotics, and you've killed good healthy bacteria in the vagina, and yeast overgrows. And you can clean that up with medication, but you still have it in your colon. And then when it's in your colon, the yeast produces toxins that are absorbed through the colon lining, get in the bloodstream. It can cause a host of health problems, depressing your immune system, making you more susceptible to infections, more antibiotics. You can get on this virtual cycle of illness where you're sick, take antibiotics, get well, take more antibiotics. Create more yeast, get more toxins, more sickness, more antibiotics. You get on this, you're like on a rat on a spinning wheel going round and round and round and round. And what you have to do is break that cycle. And part of breaking that cycle is a healthy eating program, eliminating anything that produces sugar or that contains yeast. So you cut out wine, cut out all bread products, cut out anything that converts to sugar, potatoes, rice, and corn, and you kill the yeast. And we use nystatin, which will kill yeast in the stomach. We use some diflucan for a week or so that kills it out in the mycelial form as it grows into the colon, and we knock it out. And you get people to change their eating patterns, because if you'll change your eating patterns, then the yeast won't grow, and you won't have a imbalance between yeast, which we're all going to have some yeast in our system, but it's not going to be imbalanced by not having enough bacteria. And probiotics, good, healthy bacteria. Mm-hmm.
So probiotics and the grain-free diet. And then what is the difference between the candida diet and a simple grain-free diet? Is it pretty similar?
Well, very similar. One of the things on a yeast-free eating program, you eliminate grain products. That's your the cookies, cakes, and all that. But you also eliminate corn. Corn is a simple carb, which converts to sugar, potato and rice. Anything that converts to sugar, plus sugar itself, you just eliminate that. Eating program, plus you eliminate fruits. Fruits have fructose. Fructose converts to glucose when you eat it. So you eliminate that for at least a month, and you just eat good, healthy oils and fats, eggs and bacon and butter and avocado and guacamole and all those things, and good green vegetables, steamed lightly, salad, a little meat, you'll do fine. It's a simple program. Well, I don't know what I'm going to eat. Just what I told you: salads, vegetables, and some meat. How hard is that?
I agree. I think that sounds great. And people will see.
You can go out to a nice restaurant and eat just like that. You can't. It's hard to go to McDonald's and eat like that.
No. No. And so people who are suffering from this or think that they might have candida overgrowth, that's one thing they can do. Like you said, for about a month. I
have a chapter in my book, Hormones, Health, and Happiness, that discusses treatment of yeast and yeast-free eating.
Okay.
And what causes people to get yeast problems. This is a commonly overlooked problem by most conventional doctors. They're never taught this.
Never. They never even talk about it. And I don't think they're taught it. I know my dad, like I mentioned before we talked, he's a retired physician, and I don't think he ever was taught anything about candida. But, he graduated in the 60s, so I don't even think they knew what it was. Or if they did, it was definitely not mainstream at all.
Right.
So I don't remember hearing anything about that. But I think it's wonderful that there are a lot of doctors out there, more and more, that are also talking about diet. They're talking about nutrition, talking about other things to do besides pharmaceuticals. and just treating.
That's what's important. And remember, the foundation of all good health is based upon your eating.
Yes, absolutely. Now, we talked a little bit about immunity, but there's not a lot of information for people about how to boost their immunity.
What you can do to strengthen your immune system? Well, the first thing you can do is change your eating habits. A diet high in simple carbohydrates and sugar, it suppresses the immune system. It depresses it. So cut that out. That's the first thing you can do. Second thing, make sure you take, listen to me, just what you learned in grade school. A, B, C, D, and Z. So you take vitamins A, B complex, high doses of C, large doses of vitamin D3. You take zinc, and you take magnesium and a probiotic. That will boost your immune system. And I have at Hotze Vitamins, we have Dr. Hotze's Immune Pack. We have in there, each pack for a day has 10,000 units of vitamin A, a large dose of B complex, which help your mitochondria produce energy. That's the power plant of your cell. High dose of vitamin C, 6,000 milligrams of C, 10,000 international units of vitamin D3, which is the active form of vitamin C, 60 milligrams. Magnesium, approximately 600 milligrams of magnesium, and then a probiotic. And that's an adult pack, and that will help boost your immune system. All our guests at the Hotze Health and Wellness Center, we've had over 32,000 since 1989, are on a vitamin regimen already. And I can tell you, we've only had a few, we've got over 7,000 or 8,000 active guests. We've only had a handful, less than 20 that I know of, maybe 30 out of that group that have been diagnosed either as having COVID or having the symptoms of COVID for which we treat.
Okay. Great. So all those things people can do. And I'm also assuming exercise.
Exercise and a good night's sleep go a long way to solving a multitude of problems.
Absolutely. And now for vitamin D, if you're in an area that you can get sun, what is the difference, between taking a high dose vitamin D3 versus, getting a little bit of sunlight without sunscreen? Is that
you can never get you can't get I've never seen anybody with what I would consider an adequate level of vitamin D3. Most people, I don't care if you live in Texas or California, most people are inside. They work inside. Yes. They're not outside. And when they go outside, they slather themselves with lotion that prevents the sun from getting in and converting cholesterol to vitamin D. So I'm just telling you, of the thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people we've seen here, we check their D levels. They're always down in the low range, 30s or 40s or below.
Mm-hmm.
And
so mine was
keep your D level somewhere you want to keep your D level above 70. I personally I literally take every day 30,000 international units of vitamin D3, and years to get my level up into the 90s.
That's not great. Because I'm taking 5,000. So I guess I should take a few of those pills a day.
It won't hurt you to take 10. You can check your levels, but you want to get your level above 70. It's called PG, picograms per ml. So you want to be above 70 to really get good benefit. And this is from all the research that's been done on vitamin D. The levels probably themselves, the range is probably, since they're already measuring people are low anyway, the range is probably low, 30 to 100. I've read where researchers in vitamin D say 200 you'd have to get it above 200 to have any problem. Remember, it's fat soluble to have any problems. Yes. I'm not sure really what the problems are when you get too much vitamin D3.
So there's not any side effects if you take a really high dose of vitamin D. So I know with vitamin C, you can sometimes have GI upset, or at least I've
with vitamin C, you can't hurt yourself. I mean, high doses of vitamin C, which I recommend, will loosen your stools. But if you got to keep your bowels, you won't have to have a high colonic anytime. It'll keep you clean as a whistle. And you want to keep your bowels functioning good. That's part of good health. We have people coming in, and I go, "Do you have regular bowel function?" "Oh yeah." "How often?" "Well, every 2 or 3 days." Well, that may be what my doctor told me is normal for me. Well, it may be normal for you, but it's sure not healthy. That's what leads to colon cancer. You want to keep your bowels clean. Listen, this is not rocket science. You want to stay healthy, keep your pipes clean. You got sewer pipes, you got water pipes. You got blood pipes, you got air pipes. Keep them clean. Keep them clean. Best way to keep them clean is what? Run water through them.
Absolutely.
Water.
Okay, great. So with vitamin D, if you're taking in high dose, when you're first upping the dose, will you notice any side effects that will go away or no? Okay.
Not really. I mean,
I'm going to do that.
Well, it depends what your side effects are, but I'll just tell you, it'll keep your immune system strong, your immune system healthy.
Well, that's super important because a lot of people are wondering about
all I
this.
can do is say, I'm 70 years old and I'm as fit as a fiddle, but I could keel over dead tomorrow, but I won't have lingered. And my coronary arteries are as clean as a whistle. I got no calcium build up, and at my age, chances of that are slim and none. So here's another thing let me recommend to any of your listeners. If you're a man above the age of 40, a woman above the age of 50, you should get a heart scan to measure the calcium score in your heart. Forget about stress EKGs and all these fancy echocardiograms and all that. Get a heart scan. It's non-invasive. It'll measure the amount of calcium you have in your arteries, and you will know whether or not you have any inflammation that's leading to coronary artery disease. It takes about 25 years to cook a good heart attack, and it starts when you begin to build up calcification in your arteries, which is caused by inflammation in the arteries, and your body wants to heal that. It lays down lipoprotein, which is a combination of cholesterol and protein to patch the inflammation because the body doesn't want the artery to break down and tear. And then that lipoprotein cholesterol plaque begins to assimilate calcium so it can make the artery rigid so it doesn't tear apart. Well, initially that's understandable, but if you continue to have that over time, you narrow your artery and you get more and more calcification, and then you can throw a clot and it gets stuck and you get a heart attack. So what you want to do is keep the arteries clean. The best way to do that is to eat healthy and cut out your simple carbs, which convert to sugar and cause inflammation in your arteries. And it settles primarily in the coronary arteries because they're under more stress than any other artery because your heart beats 72 times a minute, 100,000 times a day. Got a lot of stress on those arteries. And if they're inflamed, they'll deteriorate. So what you want to do is you want to take a lot of vitamin C. Vitamin C cuts down on inflammation. Change your eating program, cut out the simple carbs and sugars, and take copious amounts of vitamin C, which will help your body make collagen, which lays down over the inflammation so you don't build up cholesterol plaques. That's simple. That's what I learned from Dr. Linus Pauling back in 1990. I practiced that personally all my life, and it works.
Wonderful. I agree. And I know a lot of listeners will benefit from this. Now, you mentioned your website before. Can you please give your website address again to people so they can reach out?
You can either Google Hotze Health and Wellness Center, or you can go to Hotze, H as in horse, W as in war, C as in cat, HotzeHWC.com. And if you're interested in our vitamins, what we recommend for immunity, building your immune system, that you can go to Hotze Vitamins.
Wonderful. Now, is there anything you would like to share with my listeners before we sign off today?
Yes, I would. Thank you for asking me. You alone are in charge of your health. Your doctor's not in charge of your health. The government's not in charge of your health. The insurance company's not in charge of your health. Your employer's not in charge of your health. And your spouse is not in charge of your health. You and you alone are in charge of your health. And if you don't take charge of it, nobody else will. So I want to encourage you, get on the right side of the health freeway. Don't be barreling down on the wrong side and hit somebody because you're on the wrong side of the freeway. Get over on the right side of the freeway. Get on a path of health and wellness naturally. So as you mature, you've got energy, vitality, and enthusiasm for life.
Wonderful. I love that message. And it's so inspirational and positive. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be with you. And I wish you every success, Dawn.
You too. Thank you so much. All right, have a great rest of the day.
Okay, thank you, Dawn.
Susan, you remember the time we were in Orange County? We were driving around and we got lost, and we ran into this place called
Avila's El Ranchito.
You remember the place? The place had awesome decor and authentic margaritas.
Did you know that Avila's El Ranchito has been around since 1966? They have 13 locations throughout Orange County. Visit Salvador Avila's location in Lake Forest and Foothill Ranch for great food, ambiance, and specialty margaritas.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. Please consult a physician or other health professional before undertaking changes in lifestyle or wellness habits. The author claims no responsibility to any person or entity for any liability, loss, or damage caused or alleged to be caused directly or indirectly as a result of the use, application, or interpretation of the information presented herein.